to the Workforce Connections podcast, where we discuss workforce development in Southern Nevada. Here's your host.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the WC podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. I've known her now for a few months. She was here to do her first real visit after we're all installed with our Felt-Right project. Please welcome Karey Spransy, Vice President of Sales at Felt-Right. We're excited to have you here today.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here and excited to be at your space now that, as you said, everybody's all moved in and we have all the product up finally.
All the product is in, and so I can't wait to see that video. Before we talk more about Felt-Right, walk us through where you were born, you grew up, went to school. Maybe take us all the way to your first job after school.
Oh my gosh. How much time do we have for this podcast? Well, I was born in Santa Barbara, California, but moved to Utah when I was young. So basically grew up in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah, and went to the University of Utah. Wow. There. I actually studied, well, I thought I wanted to be an architect, to be honest. My father is an architect. My grandfather was an architect. He had his own architecture firm back in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I thought that that's what I wanted to do. And in high school, my last year of high school, I took a drafting course because I'm old. So we were still hand drafting back then. And I get to college thinking I'm going to follow in my father's footsteps. And we're starting to learn automated drafting, so CAD. Yeah. And I thought, I hate this. I cannot sit behind a computer 12 hours a day clicking all these controls and the keyboard. I can't do it. So I changed majors to exercise and sports science with a minors in parks and recreation. And now I sit behind a computer a lot of the day. Yeah. I think, it's just how the world has gone. But yeah, that's, and in my first job out of college is tough because I became a single mom my senior year of high school. And I think my very first job I ever had was when I was 14 working at a bakery between my junior high and home. I would stop and work thereafter. But I think the first job that I guess I could say that led me to where I am today is I was still in college because single mom life, so I'm going to school and having to work full time, was for a company called Campus Pipeline, and it was in that whole internet startup bubble. And they were designing student information portals for college students. So as a college student at the U, I could log into whatever they called it, my U of U or whatever, and have all the things that I was interested in one portal instead of having to jump all over the university's website. And I ended up working for the sales team. I wasn't a salesperson. I was more like a sales admin, but I was involved in the sales team. And I think that was really my first job in sales, if you will, where I got to see the freedom that sales reps often have. I got to see the usually unlimited income potential that sales reps have. Often those jobs are commission-based and things like that. I love talking to people, exercise and sports science. So and it just seemed like a really good fit for me. And ever since that moment, I've always been involved in a sales organization in some way.
Yeah.
So.
And I can tell when I met you that you're a people person. And like you said, you love talking to people and that you would think that would lead you to sales. But I also read somewhere where you actually put in your profile, you actually love to solve problems, but you hate to sell stuff.
Yeah.
So it seems like a dichotomy there, but tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, there's no offense to the used car people out there, but it's a stigma. It's a stigma. It's a phrase, I guess, a turn of phrase that's used like you don't want to feel like a used car salesman. I've driven several used cars in my life, so no, again, like I said, no offense to them, but I do think that with anything in life, whether you're in sales or whatever it is that you're doing, if you don't believe in the thing, in either the thing that you're selling or the purpose that the company has or the community that you're serving, bringing it back to what you all do here, it really can make the job a grind. And I think that comes through in when you interact with people, your sincerity, your belief. If if you're just there to collect a paycheck, it affects everything. And so I do agree that I don't like just selling stuff. Mm-hmm. I can't just go be a salesperson for anything. I do have to believe in the product, in its impact in the company, and how the product's made as well. That's important to me. And I think it makes me a better salesperson in that regard.
I would agree. I think in the months that I've known you, I've never felt sold to. With the, and I remember our first conversation over the phone because I was interested in the product, had never worked with it, and just I think called, asked I think for you because I saw your name on the website. We had some unique needs, and from the very beginning, I felt that you weren't selling me stuff. To the contrary, I think you kept being surprised every time I wanted to buy more.
Yeah, well, I mean, pleasantly surprised, I will say. I do think that kind of problem-solving component that you mentioned probably comes, like I said, my father is an architect, and I have young parents, and I'm the oldest of four. So we grew up with my dad by his own nature and maybe just by circumstance having to be quite handy and do a lot of fixing things around the house and fixing the car. And for whatever reason, I was always interested in that. And he brought me along. He taught me how to do the things. So he didn't just tell me to go get my oil changed. He would show me how to do it, right? When I ended up having my own house and had a evaporative cooler, a swamp cooler, we call them, on the roof, he didn't just get up there and do it for me. He told me how to do it. So I think there's that part of just liking the process and seeing the end result. And I think also, too, with him being an architect and that just kind of in my blood and my DNA, there's something for me incredibly satisfying about seeing it on the plans and then seeing it live in the space and then hearing how the people in that space are experiencing it is just the best. It's the best feeling for me. It really is.
Today must have been a good day then.
It was a good day. Yeah, it was really lovely to walk around and hear all of your employees talk about their favorite pieces, the impact that it's made, and the whole vibe, to use what the kids are saying these days. The whole vibe of the space is really remarkable. And I see a lot of office spaces. And you have a really special place here.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it means a lot coming from you because, like you say, you work in this all day. You have seen who knows how many different types of spaces like ours. So that means a lot. Let's dive into Felt-Rite because I think the reason we got along so much is I think we both love design. Mm-hmm. We both love, intentionality in the design too. And that comes with a price because it takes longer. A lot of attention to detail means there's 2-3 revisions to whatever we're doing. But what I love most about what we've received and installed and are enjoying this is the combination of form and function. So products that, yes, do sound acoustic mitigation, but while they're doing it, they look beautiful. They add something very unique to the space. Like, for example, right here, these walls. Yeah. They made this room a real podcast studio. They really do a great job with the sound. But it's also very beautiful to look at. It creates a vibe and an energy, as you said, and all of our spaces, I think, have these kind of elements. So for those who don't know Felt-Rite, tell them about the company, its essence, if you will, of what it does, and, the value that these products bring to customers.
Yeah. Well, Felt-Rite is, we supply and manufacture PET felt. So it's basically, you could think of single-use water bottles. That is PET plastic. And we're able to, we actually don't make the felt at our factory in Salt Lake City. There's only a handful of companies in the world that actually make that type of felt, but we bring that felt in, and then that's where we cut it, shape it, do all the cool things that you have in your offices at our factory in Salt Lake. But it is made from that 50% or higher recycled content of those single-use water bottles. So they're able to be chipped and spun into felt, and then we can make these really beautiful products with it. Felt-Rite was started in 2020 by Tally Goodson. He's our founder, and people out there may recognize his name. He's also the founder of 3Form, which is a very beautiful architectural resin product also made from PET. So he really has this. He's really active out in the environment. He surfs, he camps, he skis. He lives at the mouth of one of the canyons in Salt Lake City. Wow. So he really loves nature and is inspired and motivated to protect it and take care of our planet. And so with both of the companies that I mentioned, sustainability, recyclability, not just recycled content in the product, but long life and after use is just really a part of who he is. So that's important to us. And then additionally, it's really just about making you feel better in your space. That was a tagline. It felt right when I first started there. I think it still says that on the website, but we want you to feel better in your space. And I think particularly coming back from the pandemic, we as people realized how distracting office space can actually be. I think we just took it for granted, I think, because we were always in the office. Yeah. And then we have to go work from home. And so now we're working from our dining room tables. We're working from our home office if we're lucky to have an extra bedroom or space where we can do that. And we start to realize that, I actually am really productive here. It's quiet. I can control the temperature. I can control the lighting. I don't have people walking past me. I'm not in a big open office environment where I'm hearing all the conversations happening. And then we come back into the workplace post-pandemic, and I think a lot of us realize how distracting those places are. Maybe we knew it before, and we just thought, we're bad and I get distracted easily, or I'm bad in noisy places. And maybe in some ways that's true, right? But not always. And I do think there's a lot that we can do in our spaces to make it so that folks want to come to work, which is what you've done here. And that's important, right? It's about, again, not just selling stuff, not just selling something to sell it, but selling a product that helps the environment with the recycled content, helps spaces feel better so people feel happier in their homes and their workplaces, make it more productive, make it beautiful, have it be form and function, as you said. So that's really what we're all about. It felt right. And hopefully you experienced that when we talked about the size of your room, and let's determine how much product you need, and let's talk about where it needs to go on the space, and let's talk about the aesthetics and how can we sort of Venn diagram all of that and come up with the one piece that's going to fit all of those needs for you. Absolutely.
And then also customizing the size of it, which I felt right. I was pleasantly surprised that was possible, even though you advertise something that usually is 3x4. I said, well, what if I want it 5x7? No problem.
Right.
And so that was really fun. And also the ability that a company, I know there needs to be structure for being able to keep so many colors in stock or pieces in stock, but things like customizing colors in a piece, you were able to do that. And that was, again, for us, impactful, because as you've walked the space today, there was a lot of intentionality in every space in the FF&E. And now with the acoustical product on the walls, it seems like it all came from one vendor. And so you walked our spaces today. You've talked to more than a dozen of our team members. You got to spend time close to where they work all day. Did you leave with that feeling? Because we for certainly do. Do you leave with that feeling that felt right, really solve the problems we had, and you're making the environment better for us?
Yeah, definitely. I think I mentioned it to you and maybe even a couple of your employees that, like I said, we see these places all the time. I would say 9 out of 10 calls that I get every day are a company has moved into an office space. Attention has been paid to the acoustics. There's acoustic ceiling tile on the ceilings. There's carpet on the floor. There's soft furnishings in the room. And yet this conference room is too noisy. Yep. It's too, I can't hear. We've got all this reverberation. We've got all this echo, or, I can hear the person in the office next to me down the hallway. It's reverberating through, and I can hear it in my office. And so I do think that the Felt Right did what you guys were asking it to do, right? We stepped off on one of the other floors here in the building that's, I think, still under construction, and there's no product in the hallways. And the moment you stepped off of the elevator, you could hear it. And then we step off your floor and we're just having a conversation. Yeah. It's not echoing around. So, and in addition to that, you also have these beautiful art pieces. And every single one of your employees told me about their favorite one. There's a winner. There's a clear winner that like the majority of people, it was their favorites, which is fun. But everyone did have their own favorite that they like. And what I also found really great about your space is that where everyone is sitting, everyone has a view on one or more of these art pieces. So it really adds a really wonderful feeling to your space.
And also in the cubicle areas, all you have to do is look up and everybody's underneath a cloud. Yeah. So the acoustical baffles.
Yeah. And, you know, those open office spaces are great because it does encourage a lot of collaboration and it makes you, feel more like a community, but it poses a lot of acoustical challenges because one of the things we say at Felt Right all the time is if you share air, you share sound. So if air is coming through, whether it be through the HVAC or through a not very well sealed door, sound is going to come through there and you're going to hear it. And so you've got this cubicles there. They're relatively high, which is good, and that helps. And you've got some acoustics on the panels of those, which also help. But the clouds are just grabbing even more sound. So it's about like, how much sound can you grab out of the air so that as minimal amount as possible is kind of floating through the air for everyone else to hear. But you also did the other thing that's really great is you created some phone booths. So we talk a lot about the ABCs of sound. So it's absorb, block, and contain. And you're absorbing the sound with the felt on the walls and the clouds in the ceiling. You're blocking it quite well with your cubicles and things like that. But then the containing part of it is giving people those phone booths, sometimes those tulip chairs that we mentioned. You know, you've got that quiet room where if someone needs to get away and have a private conversation, be alone with their thoughts for a moment, you've given them the space to do that too. So you've really nailed it. You hit all of the things that we talk about all the time.
Yeah, we're really happy in this space. We've been here, I think, 4 months now. And, earlier we talked about how if we could rewind time, and we can't, the only thing I would have done different is start this process earlier, right? Call you earlier and get in there earlier because it's been both joyful, I think, to experience as we would getting the product a little bit at a time, the National Geographic series, the panel, the wood panel walls and the clouds, and one product always led to another. It was, for me, very enjoyable to discover it. And to tell you the truth, a little saddening that you reached the end. I was like, oh, there's no more product. But
we'll find a space. We'll find some more space.
And then also, I think it has been really cool about the company, back to the type of company. That's my next question about Felt-Right, is how they're always producing new stuff. Like as I was buying stuff, the engraved panels now come with dual tones where when you do the engraving, back there's another color. And the three-dimensional peaks and apex came up in the middle of our process, and they're on our walls. And so when you think about this industry, beyond Felt-Right, this acoustical industry, because there's other people attempting to do the same as you, what kind of trends, if any, are you seeing that maybe we haven't heard of yet? Again, three-dimensional pieces is kind of cool, dual tone engraves. What other kinds of things do you see coming in this industry?
What's leading to some of this development that you're seeing, at least on our side of it, where we start with our flat 9mm tiles against the wall, which absorb about 35% of the sound. And then we get out there and we start talking to folks and we discover, your conference room with 2 walls that are glass, I actually don't have enough wall space to put enough of that product in there to absorb the amount of sound that we need to absorb. So I need a product that's going to give a bigger acoustic punch. Okay, so now we're going to double it. Now that's going to absorb 65% of the sound. So now in that very same conference room, I maybe can put enough absorption in there, right? With that higher, what we say NRC, or noise reduction coefficient. So these discussions lead us to, okay, how can we get a bigger bang out of our buck, if you will? Okay, now we go into our three-dimensional tiles. The peak and the apex that you mentioned have an airspace behind. Well, that airspace now makes it so that those absorb, 65% of the sound. We're now making three-dimensional boxes that are 2 inches or 4 inches. And it's that difference in airspace that absorbs more sound. So if I go with a 4-inch deep box and put that on the wall, that is absorbing 100% of the sound that hits it.
Wow.
Now, that's not going to say it absorbs 100% of the sound in the room.
Right.
Those boxes don't make what we call an anechoic chamber. So like that scene in The Matrix when the guns come shooting past Neo and then it's really weird because you can't hear any sound. It doesn't do that, but the sound that actually hits it will get absorbed. And it's about what are the problems that our customers are coming to us with? What are the room types and sizes? What are the calculations that our acousticians are telling us that we need to hit? And then how do we design product that does that also looks beautiful? So I think the trends that you're going to start seeing really are speaking more to this form and function. So we're starting to think about acoustic wallpaper.
Oh, wow.
Right? So you're putting wallpaper up. Why not have it be absorbative of what as well? So what colors, what patterns, what design flexibility do we want to be able to give people to wallpaper their wall and still have it be absorbative? So there's some things like that. I think you're going to continue to see some fun three-dimensional shapes. The ceilings are a really great resource for that because they tend to be just this huge amount of real estate where you can put a lot of product up there. Yeah, more to come. But it really does stem from what are the problems and the issues that our customers are coming to us with that we're hearing over and over again, and what products do we need to develop to help solve those problems for them.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So remind me, Karey, we've talked about some NRCs. Remind me about the wood slatted panel. What's the coefficient on these?
Yeah, so the wood slat panels that we have on the wall behind us here, these are going to absorb about 55% of the sound that hits it. And what's interesting about that is because the felt that's on the back of it is that 9 millimeter that I was talking about that only absorbs 35%. But when you put the wood slats in front of it, it creates some dimensionality that helps to scatter the sound, and then sound will go in between those wood slats and get stuck in there and get stuck into the felt and not really be able to bounce back out. And so simply by putting this wood slat on the face, we've increased the amount of NRC. Now, we have the same product for a ceiling tile in an ACT grid. We've changed nothing about the product, but now instead of sticking it to the wall, we're just going to drop it in a grid. But we have airspace above it now. And simply doing that changes the product from a point absorbing 55% of the sound here on the wall to 85% in the ceiling
20%.
Because of that airspace, because any sound will go through it, passes through it, gets stuck up behind there and cannot come back into the room. So that's what we're trying to do with this product is just grab onto the sound so that it can't bounce back into the room and add to the noise level or the echo in the room.
And it must be cut with an edge, and somehow I imagine it has to be structurally reinforced on the sides of it when you're cutting a 4x4?
Yeah, so if you're cutting like a 4x4, or we sell them in 2x2s or 2x4s because that's pretty standard ceiling tile shape. We actually have a felt border all the way around the perimeter, and that's what rests on the grid.
Okay. That makes sense.
And here in the wall panels, you've got the felt edge sticks out beyond, so you can just butt them up against each other and get the same reveal every time. Yeah. And on the ceiling, we just incorporate that felt border on all four sides. Yeah. But you're right. I mean, the wood is attached to the felt. It's nailed or stapled to the felt. And so depending on what's happening in your space, you might have to cut it, and then you've got, maybe 12 inches or something before the next nail is. And so from the backside, you could go re-staple that to the back of the felt if you needed to. Yeah, I've learned a lot about this. I spent 5 hours in this room with Riley. And so I learned a lot just watching him do this work. Like you said, it's really, you can do so many things. I've seen installations where it goes to the ceiling and then you have to cut pieces to, if you want to go. We chose to go with this, expose a little on the bottom, expose a little on the top, and it kind of makes the product the centerpiece of the wall in the room. So we love it.
But like all the other products, again, as you start to fall in love with it, you buy it, and now you have tiki wood.
Yeah.
So it's like you're always making new stuff.
I know. There's always teak wood, but doesn't that always happen? I mean, you buy a car and then the next season they come out and with the color you really wanted, True. Right? It's just how innovation happens. But yeah, we're always adding, but the teak. So yeah, we added teak to our line. We had just oak and walnut in the beginning, but we added teak recently because a customer wanted to special order that. And so we brought it in and we had some extra after their order. And we thought, well, we'll just have a special edition and see what happens. And people have gone crazy for it. So teak's going to be part of our standard line now.
Wow.
And we actually had a contractor recently send me a picture of what we are calling our wood wall slats, but they put them on a flat ceiling and did the ceiling in this. So not the tiles, in a grid, but these wall panels and to create a continuous seamless ceiling, and it looks stunning. Yeah. So it's really awesome and to see how creative our customers
I
get.
imagine if you have a hard lid, not a drop ceiling, but a hard lid, you would just plaster that on and that would look really cool.
Yeah, actually. You just would install it the same way you do on the wall. You just nail it up onto the ceiling and it does really look great.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, we've talked a lot about product and design. And again, thanks to the team at Felt Right. Kayla was here also today to take pictures of the product. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with on that. But let's talk a little bit about your personal side. We've talked about business, and let's shift gears. I read a lot about you, that you are a true crime junkie, that you're fascinated by people and why they do what they do. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I just find people so fascinating. I really do. And I think... You always hear the phrase, never judge a book by its cover. And I think it's so true, because if you just spend a moment talking with someone, you really find out how similar we all are. But yet we've all had these incredibly different, unique, diverse experiences. I think just understanding people helps me understand myself better. Why do I do the things that I do? Why do I think and feel the way that I do? And being able to talk with someone else and hear their story helps me understand myself better. I think it also helps me be a kinder person, have a bit more compassion for people. And I just am real life is just so much better than fiction. I don't know. True crime is just, I had when I lived in the Netherlands from 2018 until 2023, I had my own life coaching business there. And I used to joke with my husband that I'm just helping people and helping everyone see the bright side of the world all the time, that maybe true crime is just sort of like helps fill that side of my cup. I don't know. But I do enjoy it. I don't know.
That's good. Now, you work hard and you have to travel sometimes, like now. Yeah. When you need to recharge your battery, right? When you need to fill your cup, as you said, what hobbies, activities outside of work or volunteering actually do that, help you, refill so you're ready for the next week?
I am a full-on extrovert person. So being social really does fill my cup, recharge me a lot. So I like to spend time with my friends. I really love the gym that I go to back in Salt Lake. So working out with them. My 2 grandsons live in Salt Lake City. So going and playing with them and talking all things Star Wars and snakes and skateboard tricks is just amazing. But I living in Utah, I love to camp. I love to ski. I love to snowboard. I'm getting back into mountain biking. I gave that up for a while, but now that we're living back in Utah, I'm going to start mountain biking again, because I just being out in nature and reminding myself that like there's so much more than what worries me. That the mountains are always there, the river is always there, the trees are there. Nature's there. And it just reminds me of, kind of puts me in my place in the universe a little bit, going down to like the red rocks of Utah. You guys have red rocks here too. So I don't know if that does that for you, but just being in that ancient nature just reminds me like, hey, first of all, you got this. And second of all, it's really not going to matter. It matters, but it doesn't matter. And I think that perspective is really helpful for me.
That's good. Yeah. I think when you talk about ancient things, I immediately go to places like Machu Picchu, where I'm from Peru, and you say that's on your to-do list, which I hope you get to go. I think that would be great. If somebody was listening to you, Karey, one of our listeners that was, again, a young 18-year-old girl or boy, young man, young woman, who relates to you and says, I love to talk to people. I love to solve problems. Maybe I can have a career like Karey, right? And either be a VP of sales or start my own business like she did and go to the Netherlands. I don't know. So what kind of advice, looking back, I think it's obviously, I always think about if I could talk to my 18-year-old self, I would save him a lot of pain and trouble. But I remember that knucklehead wouldn't listen anyway,
Exactly.
And so, but if there was somebody there who wanted to listen, what nuggets, what advice would you give somebody that you've learned from your journey that might help them reach where you are today?
Yeah, I think if I agree that I don't know that I would have listened either, right? But I think for me the thing that I would remind them about is to just keep going. And that, I know it sounds a bit cliche that we learn from our mistakes, but we really do. It's when things kind of go sideways that you figure out what's important to you, what matters to you, what lights you up, like we just spoke about, like what is it that you need to fill your cup. And I think for a young person just getting out there and getting started, to remember that life is too short to be unhappy and do something you don't enjoy, but it's also way too long to do something that doesn't make you happy and that you don't enjoy. So it's okay to change. I changed my major, I think, 3 times. I mentioned that I went from architecture straight to that, but I think there were a couple of in-betweens because I thought, well, that sounds interesting. Let me try that. Oh, no, I don't like that. So you can try a lot of different things, and ultimately figuring out what makes you happy and what brings you joy is the thing to pursue, because it's a lot of time that we spend at work. Yeah. And even though I leave the office every day, I am always talking about it, always thinking about it. I'm in acoustics, so we can't even go out to dinner without me thinking, like, oh, this place, I need to talk to the owner of this place, right? Yeah. So I think that's the first and foremost, is just really to experiment and find out what makes you happy and what you find is fun. Because I think once you stay aligned to yourself and what brings you joy and where you feel the most lit up, the rest of the money and all of the other things, they will come, that you will find a way to do that. And I think the other thing I would say is to just be brave and ask for what you want. Life can change on a dime. It did for me in 2017, right before my 41st birthday. And it was in that moment that I was like, I don't know what I was so afraid of. Because it could all end literally tomorrow. Wow. And so what was I waiting for? And it was at that moment that I stopped waiting. And I was 41, which is relatively young, I think, to get that lesson. Yeah. But if I could have had that lesson at 21, how amazing would that be, right? So the things we are scared of are really not as scary as we think they are. So to just go for it, find your community, find your joy, and go for it, because you only get this one life. So, yeah. That's
great advice. Let me read you a couple of quotes because, as I said, I did a little reading on you.
Okay.
So here's the first one.
Should I be scared about which quotes of mine you found?
No, not at all. Here's the first one. Love and kindness matter because you never know what someone has been through. I think you said that earlier. Here's the second one. A positive attitude is everything. The most absurd, unfair, ridiculous things happen, while incredible, magical, amazing things are also happening. That's life. Who do you think these quotes belong to?
Well, I said them, and I know when I said them and why I said them. So, We haven't talked about it a lot, but in 2017, like I said, right before my 41st birthday, I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And I had no idea it was coming. That I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning and went to yoga. Wow. And by noon, I wasn't feeling well. And by 3, I was in the emergency room. Wow. And 4 days later, they told me it was stage 4 colon cancer. Wow. And it was 18 months of pure hell. Yeah. I mean, there were a couple of times that they told me, you're probably not going to survive this, so get your affairs in order. And my son, who was 23 at the time, and I, planned my funeral and wrote a will and all of those things. And the thing is kind of speaking to these quotes that you said, the positive attitude one, that was awful. And it was scary, and I was mad about it. And I felt like it was incredibly unfair, and I could stay feeling that way, but it didn't change what was happening. It just made me suffer and made it worse. And if I could be like, yeah, that thing's happening, but what also is happening is I'm having this incredible one-on-one time with my friend Jaime. And there's a hummingbird here in my backyard. And, this song, I haven't heard this forever. And then we reminisce down like our favorite songs from high school. And like that beautiful moment is also happening. So if I could just focus my attention and my energy to finding these glittery bits that were happening, it didn't change that the not so glittery bits weren't happening, but it made it so that I wasn't like suffering in that. And I truly, truly believe that it helped in my healing. It really, I think, helped the whole process be as good as it could be, I guess, if you can say that about cancer. But that's what I mean by that, is that life is always happening to us all the time, and it can really feel like we're just getting beat up and only horrible things are happening. But if we can tap into our positive attitude, we can be like the hummingbird and step away and look at things from different directions. You'll more often than not, we'll see that there are also good things happening too. And so then I'm going to just direct my energy and focus there, because that's what's going to fill me up and give me the strength and the stamina to make it through the not so great stuff that's going on.
Yeah. Well, like you said, I know they call them silver linings, but I'm so grateful that you made it through that, and I think I'm even more grateful that that you learned so much from it, because you're a really special person. I know from the beginning, as we started doing business, I thought for sure you were really good at relationship management, right? But then as we've gone beyond business, now we do lunches together when you come into town, and we're becoming friends. It's also really cool to see, again, how you're in your own life, you're putting these lessons to work, and how I've met your husband, I met your friend Stacy. And so it's really awesome to meet somebody like that, who, despite the challenges, can remain positive. They can turn that into a loving attitude, right? Because I think that's how you see the world, through a loving lens. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that you came today with Kyla to do the business part, but that you decided to stay to do the podcast as well. Yeah. And I look forward to what you're going to come up for the Vegas Chamber. I know we went and met with Mary Beth. I love what concepts you're going to come up, and you're always welcome here in Vegas whenever you want. You've helped us create a beautiful space. Every time somebody comes, they ask about Felt Right, and I've been, referring them to you.
Excellent.
So thank you for being a part of our journey.
Oh, it's been, honestly, it's been my absolute pleasure, and I'm so excited to come back and see you again and count you as a friend. I mean, every time the Peruvian food we have is just makes me want to get down there to Machu Picchu and see your beautiful country even more. But yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for letting us be a part of your journey. I know you guys do incredible work here for Nevada, and for people looking for jobs and trying to move on to the next thing in their life. So I'm happy to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Karey. Well, that's it for another episode of the WC Podcast. We hope to see you at a future one. Thanks to all the crew behind the scenes that makes this happen. Until then, stay safe. Okay, Karey, thank you for staying over to do our bonus segment called In the Hot Seat. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
The first segment is called Your Favorites. I'm going to give you a category. You're going to give me your favorite thing in that category. Let's start with an easy one. What's your favorite food?
My favorite food, pizza.
Favorite beverage with dinner?
Favorite beverage with dinner, white wine.
Favorite dessert after dinner?
Dark chocolate.
Favorite way to start your day?
Exercise.
Favorite way to unwind after a long day?
A beer.
Favorite hobby or weekend activity?
Camping.
Favorite vacation spot?
The ocean.
Favorite holiday?
Norway.
Favorite car you've ever owned?
Favorite car I've ever owned? A BMW.
Favorite college sports team?
The Utah Utes, of course.
Favorite professional sports team?
The Mammoth.
All right. We just took down the Mammoth.
I know.
That's okay. You've made it through the first segment. Very good. Now, the second one is called Tough Choices. So it does get a little harder.
Okay.
I mean, but we'll let you, if you really can't choose, you can choose both if you want. But let's start with an easy one. Vacation or staycation?
Vacation.
When you go there, would you rather fly or drive?
Fly.
Once you get there, hotel or Airbnb?
Airbnb.
A day by the ocean or hiking in the mountains?
Mountains.
Retire on a ranch or in the city?
Ranch.
Have more time or have more money?
Time.
Ability, if you were a superhero, would you rather have the ability to fly or breathe underwater?
Fly. I can scuba dive.
The ability to speak with animals or speak any foreign language?
Foreign language.
Here's where it gets tougher, Karey. You got to pick between one or the other. Here's the first one. Truth or kindness?
Kindness.
Actions or words?
Action.
Justice or grace?
Grace.
You made it through tough choices. Good job.
I want to change some of them now that I'm thinking about it.
Right?
But also, Norway's not a holiday, but that was my favorite place I went on holiday.
Yeah,
so.
vacation spot, huh? That's good. The final segment is called Finish the Sentence. I'm going to give you about 90% of a sentence. You're going to finish it for me.
Okay.
If you could visit any place in the world, it would be?
New Zealand.
The best part about living in Utah is?
The mountains.
Your favorite thing about your job as VP of Sales at Feltright is?
Meeting new people.
If you could travel back in time to any year, you would travel to?
Ancient Egypt.
3 words that describe you, Karey, are?
Funny, outgoing, adventurous.
I couldn't agree more. And doing the WC podcast here with us today was?
Amazing.
Awesome. Well, thank you for staying over.